Gawking harder than I've ever gawked before. Freaky looking tree, freaky tree. Some soup. It will probably be the hardest hike I've ever done. The rise and fall of a Midwest princess. The most isolated part of the contiguous United States. Of course it happens here, in the middle of Nevada. I've been living in my car for so long that I've made it to the desert. I drove from the east coast to the west coast, across the Great Plains, down the Pacific Ocean, and now I'm in Reno, Nevada, because I have to figure out how I'm getting home. I spent the night at some dirt road in the desert because this summer I don't want to pay for hotels. I don't want to pay for campsites. Every single night, I try to sleep in the back of my car. This week, I am going to spend one more day in Reno so that I can deliver food for DoorDash and Uber Eats to make some money. And then I am going to start my long drive back to Michigan. But today, before I start making money, I am going to drive off in that direction towards the desert to a lake called Pyramid Lake, which looks interesting, and I'm gonna do a hike. So a lot of the All Trails comments said you need a four-wheel drive to get out here. But if living in my car has taught me anything, it's a lot of the places where you say you need a four-wheel drive, you can still get to in a compact car. See, this is fine. This is actually a lot better than a lot of the roads I've driven on this summer. We are, I will admit, at a point where I can't drive in the ruts because my car doesn't have the clearance for the little mound of dirt that has risen in the middle. So I have to drive with one wheel on the mound and one wheel on the other side, because the minute I try to drive in the ruts where people have driven before me, my car starts scraping against the bottom of the ground. Kind of like that, if you heard that. Okay, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. I can probably make it, but I'm also only a half mile from the trail, and there's a nice little parking spot behind me, so I could just call it here and walk to the trail. You know, I always wonder whenever I take my car down roads like this, do we think this is the first time a Chevy Cruze has been on this road? Probably. So I've decided to stop at the hike first before the lake, because here in Nevada, it can get up to the mid to high 90s, and it's early enough in the morning that it's a nice little breeze, nice little 70 degrees or so. And I'd rather do the hike in this weather than when it's even hotter. This is potentially the least hiked trail I'm gonna do this summer. So I have to be wary not to get lost, not to get off trail, and to watch out for wildlife that is present because there's not many hikers, primarily rattlesnakes. The album of choice for today's hike is This It? I think just barely off in the distance, I can see a little bit of Pyramid Lake. All right, so this right here, this is the parking lot that I was supposed to drive through. The trail is a big loop. I start on that side and I will end on that side. And I will be walking through these hills right there. Well, that's a little nasty of them. My nice gradual incline is about to turn into a steep incline. Words cannot describe how grateful I am for these clouds right now. Man, this fucking sucks. Oh, why did I do this? At least it's pretty. Jesus, how am I even, look at that. How am I even meant to walk up that? Oh my God. My shoes are old. There is almost no traction left. And I am slipping and sliding trying to get up this thing. I might have to turn around if I can't, but I'm gonna really give it my all. Well, I tried going to the side. This is the angle, by the way, if you need a sense of sense of elevation gain. I can't do this. I'm slipping and sliding trying to get up this, and I'm just like, even looking down right now, I think I'm gonna have to scoot on my ass to get down there. This is bad. And I'm only like 1.75 miles into this trail. It's not gonna get any better. A bit of an anticlimax, but I am one to never be afraid to turn around on a trail. Ah, that kind of sucks. Yeah, there is no chance of walking down this thing. I am just sliding on my ass, trying not to rip my shorts. I told myself I wasn't gonna buy a pair of hiking boots for this trip. I told myself these shoes could make it through. I've owned them for, oh God, 3 years now. They survived the last time I lived out of my car, and they'll survive this time. And then I'll retire them the minute I get home. In 2024, when I drove across the country, I was in a beater that I really couldn't damage any worse. And well, it's roads like this that make me think maybe this car is a bit too nice for me to be doing the bullshit that I do. But you know, the money I've saved with the high gas mileage probably makes up for whatever damage I've done to this car. To be fair, I think the majority of the damage I've done is cosmetic, so it should be fine. This is the Valence, for anybody wondering. Welcome to Pyramid Lake. This place is surreal. It is definitely the type of location where the scale is not going to pick up on the camera. But this massive lake right here is comparable to Lake Tahoe. I first learned about it from my barber 2 years ago. He told me, he's like, there's this really cool lake. If you're going anywhere in Reno, you gotta check out this lake. It's this massive lake out in the desert. And I'm like, okay. And then I didn't. And then I came back to Reno 2 years later, and I brought it up with my barber this time around. I was like, yeah, I'm thinking about going up to Pyramid Lake. And she's like, I don't go to Pyramid Lake. I don't like the urban legends. And I'm like, the urban legends? And she's like, they've drowned thousands of babies in Pyramid Lake. Now, I don't know if this is like a fun, like local urban legend, or if it's just racism because this is on an American Indian reservation. I've had my fun, but I want a shower and I want food. Now, if you haven't seen any of these vlogs before, you may wonder, Jacob, how do you afford all of this traveling? Today is the beginning of week 8. Way back on week 3, I started driving for DoorDash and Uber Eats to make money. By the time week 6 rolled around, my bank account was less than $300. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make any money where I was in California, which really threw a wrench in my plans. Last week, I drove to Reno because the state of Nevada has different laws than California, and it allows me to make more money. I spent the past couple days delivering food in Reno, and I've got a much nicer buffer now. I have around $600. It's not perfect. I will still have to DoorDash as I drive back home, but this is enough to allow me to leave Reno sometime tomorrow. However, today is a Saturday, which is a perfect day to make money, so I'm gonna DoorDash tonight. Today's fun little shop and deliver was 2 beatboxes and a massive order of Panda Express to the same house. I feel ya, man. I feel ya. Did I make good money tonight? Yes. Am I really tired? Yes. Tomorrow, I will be starting the drive home to Michigan. The very long drive home. It's going to take a couple weeks, but I will be starting the drive home to Michigan. And what route will I be taking? I don't know. That's the cliffhanger. Ooh, you got to keep watching. What route am I taking? Am I going to go north? Am I going to go through Colorado? Am I going to go south? Am I going to go through Arizona? I don't know. Good morning, Nevada. Today I'm gonna drive. So I have to get back to Michigan somehow. And I identified 2 routes I could take. I could go north through Colorado and Wyoming and Utah. I'd see a lot of very pretty national parks. It would be nice and comfortable. I'd do a lot of hikes. Or I go south through Arizona, New Mexico, Oklahoma, which is nice because I have a lot more friends down there, but I'd be dealing with the heat. I've decided to go south because if there's one thing I've learned on this trip, it's that seeing my friends is what keeps me sane. As much as I would love to see the mountains and the national parks in the north, I also love my friends. This week, here's the plan. I'm going to drive from Reno to Las Vegas, but instead of booking it across the Nevada desert, I'm going to dip into California. Tonight, I'm going to spend the night somewhere around this lake right here. Tomorrow, I'll go to Yosemite National Park. But after Yosemite, I don't really know what the plan is. All I know is there's a lot of pretty stuff around here. I'll probably do some hikes. I'll do some camping. And then at some point, I need to drive across this desert here, which is legitimately one of the most isolated areas of the contiguous United States. This will be interesting. And then I'll be in Vegas, where I'm going to do some door dashing. I am so excited to go to California today because the part of California I'm driving to is probably the least populated part of California. You associate California with LA and SF and these big cities and these really densely populated areas. Not here. Not where I'm going. Better call Lob and Lob. Welcome to California. So this is Mono Lake. Don't kiss anybody. Anyway, this is where I'm going to be spending the next 2 or so days. Right now I'm heading to a town down in that direction, and then we'll find a campsite somewhere around here. And then tomorrow I'm heading into those mountains towards Yosemite National Park. But look at this. This is something else. Well, this is Lee Vining, the only town for miles, and I don't have a signal. Oh, what have I gotten myself into? This is one of those funny little roads where I'm not particularly worried about the bumps, but the little bit in the middle where there's all that gravel is high enough that it rubs against the bottom of my car. So I try to avoid driving in the ruts as much as possible. So the meta of this area appears to be little pullouts without a fire ring and absolutely stunning views, but zero privacy. Here's another one, perfectly viable. I even have a good signal. It's just that it is right against the road. I mean, like, everybody's gonna be watching me here. Okay, the test of whether or not this is a valid spot is whether or not I can stream Star Trek. Because if I can stream Star Trek, then I will come back here if I can't find anything else. I mean, this is quite gorgeous. I will not complain that much. All right, this is a viable spot. Jeez, oh fucking Pete's. This is like, oh my God, like a motorbike course to go down that road. Brother. All right, so we're not doing that. Well, I looked at where the other sites could be, and they were either four-wheel drive needed or poor cell signal. And like, I could explore, but I am so worried about messing up this car that if I can avoid driving on nasty dirt roads, I'll avoid driving on nasty dirt roads. If you're wondering why I'm sitting like this, there is a van life couple within viewing distance of this campsite doing yoga. So not ideal on the privacy front, but this place is so unbelievably gorgeous that I can't complain that much. All right, so here's the dilemma, right? I got this sticker from the general store and I adore this sticker. Oh my God. But it doesn't fit anywhere. I could try to put it on this side, but it won't really fit without covering some stuff up. Won't really go there. Or I try to put it on this side, but well, it's definitely not going to go there. I mean, I could put it below. Basically, I have two options. Either I start dipping into other areas of the bumper, or I start overlapping stickers. And I don't think I'm ready to make that decision yet. So if you have any ideas, leave a comment. Look at that. Those are the Sierras over there. You know, California, those big, big mountains that, you know, you see from the east side of the Central Valley. That's those mountains. I'm just seeing them from an angle most people don't see them from. You know, life really doesn't get much better than this, does it? Good morning, California. Today, I will be driving into those mountains there, and we will be driving to Yosemite National Park, where I'm going to go for some extremely, extremely pretty hikes. My ridiculously hot take with Yosemite has always been that it's a great place to travel if you're with a group, but if you're doing solo stuff like I am at the moment, not the best national park. There's just too many people. But today I am going through the east entrance to Yosemite, and only probably like 5 to 10% of people that go to Yosemite go via the east entrance, mainly because it's like closed for half the year. Look at that. I was about to leave and then I saw this view on the way out. Look at that. So the trail I'm doing today is supposed to have some gorgeous views of Yosemite Valley seen from an angle most people don't see the valley from. But I really am not a fan of this down and then up and then down and then up and then down and then up. I'd rather just get all this over with at the start. But it's worth it for a pretty view. The album I've chosen for today's hike is By the Way. This area is very interesting. I like this wall. I'm resisting every urge to just walk over there and look at that view because I know it's going to be gorgeous, but I have no reason to. This entire trail is just full of gorgeous views. Look at that. That is insanity. Yosemite is 100 times better if you can find places that don't have crowds. This rock looks like what a 5-year-old imagines a boulder is. It just is shaped like a pebble, but it's fucking massive. Look at that. How is it rounded on the bottom like that? That's crazy. Well, it looks like we're starting the first downhill section, which is a little nasty of them, because why am I going down there and then back up? Why can't I just follow along the ridge? Jesus Christ. I'm like actually speechless. I don't have any look at that's or that's gorgeouses to give. I mean, this place is worth more than my corny ass descriptions. Okay, so the reason I couldn't walk up the ridge is because I'd be walking up to that hill over there. And this is the one I'm gonna hike to. This is craziness. This is the trail. It's just sand, but it's nice and cool up here. The steep slope turned into a gradual incline. This is wonderful. So I'm standing on the top of Mount Whitaker right now. That's crazy. Not a soul around. I saw one hiking pair on this trail so far. And this is Yosemite National Park. And this is an insane view. But supposedly the hike doesn't end here. All Trails wants me to hike down another 400 or so feet to a viewpoint and then hike back up Mount Whitaker. This better be one good viewpoint. Okay, I think I think that's the viewpoint down there, which, yeah, I can see how that would be pretty epic. Top of this fucking mountain looks like craters of the moon. Well, I think as I scale the last part of this hill, we might just now, can you tell I'm stalling a little bit? We might very much be at the overlook. Wow. Yep. This is the best hike I've ever done. Maybe in my life, definitely on this trip. There is no beating this. That down there, all those trees, that's where Yosemite Village is. Normally, when people come into the park, they start way off that way and then they stop at a little overlook right there and they look out this way. I get the reverse of that today. This is craziness too. I did not know Yosemite had a part that was this rocky. I mean, I'm just stunned. Like, there are no words that can describe how gorgeous this place is. Like, I genuinely believe this is the best hike I've ever done. These overlooks just keep going. You think you've reached the end. You think you've seen the best view there is to see. And then All Trails tells you, Jacob, go a little bit further. What a panorama. Literally every direction I look is a stunning view. This has got to be getting obnoxious, but I'm gawking harder than I've ever gawked before. If you're wondering why I'm so obsessed with the fact that we're seeing Yosemite from the east, it's that 2 years ago, I was down there and I had a suboptimal day. I waited in an hour-long line, tried to do a hike that was too ambitious, had to turn around, went down into the valley hoping for some quiet spaces that I could read and relax. And instead, literally everywhere I went, I was met with crowds of people. I do want to say, I'm happy Yosemite is crowded. Like, it brings me so much joy to see people enjoying nature the same way I do. But when I'm solo traveling, it's just not for me. If I'm alone, I want to be alone. If I was with my friends and we wanted to do some camping and tubing and hiking and yada, 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 yeah, of course I want to be where all the people are. It's rare to find a place where no matter how long you spend there, it will never feel like enough. But sunlight is limited. I want to go for at least one more hike and ideally take a shower before wherever I'm showering closes. Walk down the mountain, I thought. It's worth it for the view, I thought. To be fair, it was. But I'm not enjoying this part. I don't think I mentioned how much I love these trees. These are very pretty trees. Well, this is tragic. My hiking bag ripped. I've had this bag, oh my God, for like 3-4 years now, and I've used it to hike, and I'm gonna have to retire it. All right, it's the last uphill. Just 300 or so feet. I can do this. Oh, my car. How great to see you again. All right, 6.62 miles, 1,063 feet of elevation, and 2 hours and 39 minutes spent hiking. So here's my kind of ridiculous dilemma. I want a shower. Now there's a shower back in Lee Vining that closes at 5, which I could use, except they need cash. So somehow I need to get cash in Lee Vining, but there doesn't seem to be a bank in town. I couldn't find any ATMs in town. And when I asked the general store for cash back, he said no. So if I go back there and try to use that shower, then I'm betting on the fact that I'll be able to acquire cash somehow. Alternatively, there are free showers down in Yosemite Village. The reason I don't want to do that is because that's an hour away. I don't plan to go down into the village today, which means if I did go down there, it would only be for a shower, and it would be driving an extra 2 hours just to take a shower. I'm not 100% sure what I'm gonna do about the shower situation yet, but I will go for another hike. All right, the last thing I want to do before I leave is go for a big walk around this lake. Look at that. This is craziness. I adore a little lakeside trail. Freaky looking tree, freaky tree. This is just gorgeous. What a hike this is too. There are no letdowns today. This is insanity. Oh my God. Here, have a picture. Isn't that neat? There's a bunch of nice little rocks for me to walk on. Look at this. All right, here's my thought process. I just made it back to the car. I'm obviously not 100% certain whether I'll be able to shower tonight. And there's a massive body of water behind me. So I might as well wash off the sweat and dirt. Yosemite, you've treated me well. I was too harsh on you last time. I let the valley define my understanding of what you could be, but you are a very large national park with a lot of diversity, a lot of variety, and this trip was 1,000 times better than my last trip to Yosemite. I pulled into Nazareth, California, I'm okay. Well, looks like I got out of there in time. It's raining a fair bit right now. Also, look at the scale of this canyon. Oh my God, that's crazy. The absolutely phenomenal news is that the Shell in Lee Vining, California has an ATM inside. I was about to go in there, ask, hi, do you guys offer cash back? Or know if there's an ATM in town. And then I looked to my right and there was an ATM. This shower is $5 for 5 minutes. So I'm gonna have to be very careful with my time. Well, I'm clean, but I have 3 complaints. Number 1, the price. Now $1 per minute isn't egregious, but at that price, I would hope for an experience better than I had. Number 2, the light switch was on a timer, and I didn't realize that because somebody had turned it on before me. So midway through the showers, I was in pitch black. The lights were off, and these showers had a time limit. And that brings me to number 3. The sign on the wall said the shower would make a noise just before your 5 minutes were up. Now, these showers are fun because they had free cold water. You were only paying for hot water. The thing is, my shower never made a noise. So I was almost ready to get out, and next thing I know, I was sprayed with freezing cold water. Mono Vista RV Park, you can do better. Anyway, here's the plan. So I could go back to my campsite right around here, but tomorrow I want to drive south to a national monument called Devil's Post Pile. I don't know, it looks interesting. And nearby Devil's Post Pile is this town, Mammoth Lakes, with cheaper food, cheaper gas, and a lot of dispersed campsites nearby. It's only 3:08 p.m. right now, so I might as well drive down there, find a campsite down there, and we'll go to Devil's Post Pile in the morning. So here's the incredibly tragic thing I just learned. On the way into Mammoth, I saw this funny little sign that said, Devil's Post Pile, Reds Meadow Road closed. And I just did some gandering at the National Park website, and that's how I learned you can only access Devil's Post Pile National Monument Thursday through Sunday. I planned to be in Las Vegas by Thursday. There's not much to do in this part of California. Devil's Post Pile is like one of the big things, and I won't be able to see it. This is interesting. So it says restricted camping area, no camping and overnight parking next 2 miles. But the campsite I scouted out is 1.7 miles away. So I don't know if they're talking like off of this main road or what. I am a little confusion. Area closed. Oh, fucking fantastic. Okay, there are like a million van lifers in this area, so there is bound to be something. I'll tell you what there is. There's no signal. That's what there is. That's so funny of them. They've closed the road. They've closed the road with dispersed campsites, and this is the area where I do have a signal. All right, I have found a road that is open, and I'm seeing a bunch of campers. Before I get any further, let's do the signal check by watching Star Trek to see if this area is viable. All right, this is a viable campsite. Guess what? Look what I found. If we ignore all of the garbage, this place is beautiful. I've never been at a dispersed campsite with a picnic table. I've been to free established campsites, but this one's new. Somebody has also left me some soup. What a shame this place is, though. This is fucking nasty. So I did a little bit of research before I left Mammoth Lakes, and I learned I can hike to Devil's Postpile if I really wanted to. But it would be a grueling hike. I'd basically be out there all day, and it would be maybe not the longest, but one of the longest hikes I've done in my life. Tomorrow morning, I'm going to drive to the Starbucks and do some research, because what I'm mainly trying to figure out is there a better option? There's a world where I drive back to Mono Lake and spend another day in Yosemite. There's a world where I drive to Las Vegas early and do some hikes around there. I could go to Arizona early and start exploring that area. I really don't know. So, guess you'll have to watch till tomorrow. Naturally, one of the days I get to a campsite early with the intention of relaxing on my beautiful picnic table. It's kind of drippy and wet and miserable. And look at that, 8,737 miles. Good morning. Trashed campsite in the middle of California. Today, I don't know what I'm doing other than figuring out what I'm doing tomorrow. Devil's Postpile is closed. Will I hike there? Will I go to different places in Nevada? Will I go to Arizona early? Oh, I don't know. But I'm going to figure that out today. But before I leave this campground, I've been thinking. I haven't cleaned up anybody else's mess. I don't have to clean up other people's messes. I don't want to clean up other people's messes. But I stayed at enough of these campsites this summer that I think it's time I give back. Plus, I'm putting these on YouTube. I gotta set a good example. If I'm gonna inspire any of you guys to dispersed camp, I hope some of you guys will keep your campsites clean, because this fucking sucks. Well, it's not perfect, but it's a lot better than when I got here. So a funny little thing happened last night. You see, I got my glasses, and I got this really nice pair of prescription sunglasses, and I decided to modify them. So now when I put them on my head, you know, they sit like this. It's got one less arm. Isn't that amazing? I've got this drawer on the bottom here. This is the I messed up drawer. A bunch of little redundancy pieces of equipment. For instance, we have my wireframes in case my normal glasses break. Unfortunately, I didn't bring any spare sunglasses, but I did bring contact lenses, so we can go sunglasses shopping today. Turns out this Starbucks doesn't have chairs. I'm gonna find the local joint. All right, here's my thoughts. This was the Black Velvet Cafe. Do not go here. I paid $6 for a 12-ounce coffee, and then I sat upstairs in what was way too hot of an environment, and they were blasting some of the worst music I've ever heard. Normally I work in Panera Breads, so my standards for good coffee shop music is very, very low. But they had internet and I was able to look at maps. And here's what I've decided. I like the challenge of hiking to Devil's Postpile. Now this is not an easy hike. Down a mountain and then back up the mountain. Supposedly there's not much cover. You're kind of out in the sun the entire day. If I do it, I don't think it's the longest hike I've ever done, but probably the combination of the distance, the lack of shade, and the elevation gain, it will probably be the hardest hike I've ever done. But it would allow me to see the monument, and I wouldn't feel like I wasted my time here in Mammoth Lakes. But to do this, I need to be prepped. I need to wake up early. I need to have enough food, enough water. Everything needs to go smoothly. All right, so this is the trailhead parking that I'll be at tomorrow morning. Hopefully won't be this crowded. Prepping for tomorrow has led me to do two things. Number one, I have a hat. Number two, I found some showers ahead of time, and I verified these showers, they close at 6. So as long as I'm done with the hike by 6 p.m., I can shower here. After leaving the shower, I drove to the Starbucks and ordered a large decaf coffee. Outside the Starbucks were 2 picnic tables, one of which I sat down on and pulled out my laptop with the intent to edit some videos outside. And there I sat, in the shopping center, surrounded by all of the comers and goers of Mammoth Lakes, California. And I thought to myself, what am I doing here? Because there was nothing I could do at that picnic table that I can't do at this picnic table. This is a little comedic now that I look at it. I am in love with this setup though. This is quite something. And with that, the sun sets, telling me, Jacob, you should wake up early tomorrow. It is 5:50 in the morning. I woke up 20 minutes ago. And let me tell you, my genius idea of waking up early to beat the heat worked too well, because it is freezing right now. Anyway, now I'm going to drive into that town that way to buy a sandwich, and then drive that way towards the trailhead, where I will be hiking all of the way to Devil's Postpile. Breakfast! Well, this is the trailhead, and I think it's time. Time for the hardest hike I've ever done. The trail I'm doing today is mostly a down and up, but in classic hike fashion, it starts out with what is basically a staircase to kick your ass. Like this. This right here. This is a staircase. Look at how high I gotta step up to get up there. This is cruel. Oh yeah, and then they want me to zigzag up all the way up there. Look at that, 15 minutes, 441 feet later, and we start the descent. The album of choice for today's hike is Jorge Ben. I just want to let future Jacob know I'm having the time of my life walking down this hill. It is all downhill, not a single bit of uphill. I thank future Jacob for his sacrifice. This is crazy. So the reason the hike has the elevation differential that it does is because I start kind of just beyond that mountain, just below the peak a little bit, and then I hike down into this gorgeous, gorgeous valley, and then back up the mountain I came. Okay, I read at a trailhead that all these dead trees, it's not from wildfire or beetle kill. We're standing on top of a lot of volcanic activity, which leads to a bunch of carbon dioxide getting released. And when there's excess carbon dioxide in the soil, the trees can't survive. So you're left with a mountainside like this. I'm in love with this cliffside. I'm in love with this hill. Look at this. We have our first little sighting of water on this trail. I always adore how there's a burst of life, a burst of greenery wherever there's a stream. Oh, that's nice. My trail has turned into a stream. This is the path I'm supposed to follow. Fantastic. Guys, look, it's horses. There's all these horses. Oh my goodness. Oh, my horse. There's the stream. Ooh, that's gonna be pretty. All right, this is where the monument actually begins. I'm very excited. Look at you. Wow. This place is just wonderful. I am so happy I decided to make the hike out here. There's not a person in sight. So I came from this direction over here. The horse ranch was around here. Then I walked down here to Rainbow Falls. And then I'm gonna walk up here to the Devil's Post Pile. Just beautiful. Watch the waterfall on the waterfall. This is also very pretty as well. I love this little valley. Tell you what I don't love, all these stairs I have to climb up now. Lovely little cascades all throughout this monument. Nice little backdrop. I love hiking and hearing rushing water to my left. It feels so calming. Well, I have fantastic news. I think this thing right here is part of the post pile. I'm not 100% sure if this is all of it because the All Trails Trail tells me to stop down there and I want to see a little bit more. I'm just not 100% certain where to go. Okay, hang on a second. So this trail said it's to the top, but I'm seeing a little thingy here. So I actually think I'm going to follow this trail to the right because I don't want to be on the top of the post pile. How can you see it from up there? Oh yeah, here we go. What in the world? I have no idea what geological phenomena creates a place like this, but I have never seen anything like it before, that's for sure. This reminds me if you've ever been on like a coastline and they have little breakers to protect the bay or stop erosion. This is what it feels like. This is just so odd. I think I'm gonna chill out here in the shade and gawk at it while I eat my lunch. Well, I've been on this trail for 3 hours now, 7.5 miles. The vast majority of it has been downhill, and now I have to go back to my car. Also, the nice early morning coolness has been replaced with almost afternoon sun. That's okay. I have a hat now. I'm a hat person. I didn't just buy this guy for style. It is functionality. Thank you, sunglasses, for breaking. Otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten this. This is a really cool place. If you ever get an opportunity to come down here, whether the road is open or not, probably when the road is open, you should. I really do like this monument. Well, I haven't started to regret my decisions yet, but if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen now. Well, I've made it through 1 album and 2 podcasts. I think I have enough time for another album. This time it is The Rise and Fall of a Midwest Princess. That does not get old. But this, especially the lack of tree cover, does get old. I will say, around like 7 miles was the hardest. Once you hit 10 miles, it's like your legs have gotten used to pain and suffering. I can't believe I did it this quickly. It actually got easier and easier as I walked up the hill. But it's all downhill from here, in a good way. All right, nature people, help me out. What in the world causes a tree to grow like this? Look at this guy right here. What did he break his wrist? What's going on? I made it. I finally made it. To think this place was empty when I started my hike, and now it looks like this. 5 hours and 21 minutes, 13 miles, and 2,693 feet of elevation gain. Listen, I know that trail is probably peanuts to some of y'all experienced hikers, but for me, I don't do that type of stuff. I'm very proud of myself. I've done longer hikes in the past, technically, but that one with the elevation gain and the layout of it being a down and up was definitely the hardest hike I've ever done. Anyway, I really want a shower. $10 showers, which was a bit much, but they were very clean, so I recommend. This is the historic Twin Lakes store. All right, new rec. If you're in Mammoth Lake and you want coffee, don't go to the Black Velvet Cafe. Go to Looney Bean. It was half the price, same good vibes. Well, it looks like there's a fellow right by my favorite spot, and I feel a little bad invading his privacy, So I'm gonna try to find somewhere else. The nice thing about this area is that there are literally hundreds of campsites. I don't think I'll be so lucky to find one with a picnic table, but I should be able to find one with a good signal and lots of privacy. Well, this is a little crazy. Funnily enough, you can just barely tell that this is a road, or at the very least, it's a place that people have driven on before. You can start to tell a little bit more here, but this isn't even the type of off-roading that my car has problems with. This is nice, smooth down dirt, gravel, and grass. What I struggle with is rocks. Although I've hit a bit of a spot because I'm not 100% sure where the road goes. Is this where... That's a weird noise. Is this where I'm supposed to go? Maybe I should reverse. Okay, reversing down here is a lot scarier because I can't tell where the two ruts are that mark where people have driven in the past. Okay, turning around worked wonders. I have found the pathway. Well, I did all of that exploring only to end up basically where I started, just with my car angled slightly differently. I don't even know if that truck is staying. It's just a pickup truck. Doesn't look like anybody's living out of it, and nobody's brought out any camping supplies yet. Hopefully they don't mind me learning how to play guitar. So somehow I didn't notice this when I cleaned up the campsite the other day. Jesus fucking Christ. This is way more than one pack. How many packs did this person smoke? Good Lord. I just finished A Study in Scarlet, and let me tell you, this is the first Sherlock Holmes book, and this was a pleasure. Halfway through the book, it switches into like Mormons in Utah. I don't know. This was just a really fun read. Like, I was expecting this to be a lot harder than it was, but this was, to me, like a 5 out of 5 book. Anyway, now I'm moving on to All Quiet on the Western Front, which I suspect will be a bit of a different vibe. Tomorrow, we drive into the desert, into Nevada, into the most isolated part of the contiguous United States. All right, so I am here in California, and I want to get down here to Las Vegas. All of this is desert with almost nothing going on. But before I leave, I'm gonna clean up those cigarette butts I found yesterday. Ah, lovely socks and paper. How nice. I have 2 hours and 127 miles till I get to a town called Tonopah, which has cheaper gas than California, and my car can make it 238 miles. That's like 100 miles of wiggle room. I'll be fine. I saw on the map this body of water was called Big Alkaline Lake. I don't know, seems pretty basic to me. Welcome to Nevada! There's no sign for some reason. Look at this road. This is insanity. Look, it's Helios 1. Yep, that's what it is. Helios 1. You and me. Of all the fucking places to blow out a tire, it is Tonopah, Nevada. I blew it out pulling into this fucking gas station. I am actually in shock right now. Of course it happens here, in the middle of Nevada. We're gonna flash back to Jacob in Portland. I want to show you guys what Portland Jacob said about his tire. My front right tire is really worn down compared to the other three. So what am I gonna do? Nothing. I'm gonna wait and see. If I end up springing a leak or blowing it out, it's not the biggest deal in the world. I know how to put the spare on. I'll take it. I'll get a new tire. Bish, bash, bosh. It's done. This town doesn't have a signal, and I need to figure out where there's a tire place. So I'm gonna drive down. I saw a Burger King on the way in. I'll get some food. I'll connect to the Wi-Fi. Of all the places to blow out a tire, of all the places to blow out a tire, I blow it out in the middle of Nevada. Well, thank you, Cal Nevada Towing. I called them. They said, we have one tire your size in stock. A single tire for my car in this entire town. It wasn't even that expensive either. Like if I went to a chain place, I'd be paying more. Nice to see I am in this part of the United States now. Even Reno was only mid to high 80s at the worst. Good God. Listen, baby. Viva Las Vegas! Well, the plan was I was gonna do a bit of a pit stop at a Panera Bread and then DoorDash tonight, but I am exhausted and I got in really, really late because of the whole tire debacle. So instead what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do a pit stop at a Panera Bread and then I'm gonna go to my campsite. Well, this is where I'm camping tonight. This area is really interesting. You drive from the corner of Vegas essentially up into some mountains where you're then in a bit of a valley, kind of isolated from all of this mess. But it's only like 15 minutes away, so it's not even that bad of a drive. There are, oh God, probably dozens of campsites along this road. A lot of them much nicer than this one. The reason I chose to park here is because this wall means my car can get shade a lot earlier than most of the other campsites. But let me tell you, this area is just gorgeous. One of the other reasons to come up here is because at night, there's about a 20-degree differential between the temperature here and the temperature in the valley. Now, Vegas is 105 right now, so it's still pretty hot up here, but it's not 100+ degrees Fahrenheit hot. I'm very concerned about the heat. That's gonna be a really big issue, especially when I get down to Arizona. Before I left Mammoth Lake, I picked up this sticker set right here. Ignore these two. 395 is the highway that runs alongside the eastern side of the Sierras. It's basically what I've been driving through all week. And look at that. One half of the car filled in. Good night, Nevada. Today has certainly been an interesting one. Good morning, Las Vegas. Let me tell you, this desert is a great place to sleep. It's beautiful. There's lots of campsites, but it is really, really, really hot. Normally this summer, if I've had an uncomfortable night, it's been uncomfortable because it's too cold. If it's cold and I wear the right clothes and I sleep in my cold weather sleeping bag, it's nice and warm. I could sleep in below zero. If it's hot, I can wear no clothes and have a fan blowing on me all night, and it's still hot. I don't understand the physics behind it, so somebody help me here. But what I think is interesting is if it's like 80 degrees outside and the sun is shining in my car, I get in my car and it's really, really hot. But if it's like 105 degrees outside and the sun is shining in my car, I get in my car and it's about the same as it is outside. It's not much different. If you watch the Reno vlog, you would know one of my little goals as I wrap up this summer is to get some new clothes. But not just any clothes, reused and thrifted clothes. All right, here's the haul. We have a pretty nice pair of jeans. I'm happy to find jeans with this type of denim at a thrift store. And then we have a hoodie that says Sunshine State of Mind. And it's got a design on the back with some flowers and stuff. I'd like to dedicate this vlog to Laundromat Express in Las Vegas, Nevada. Cheapest laundromat I found this summer. Speaking of money, I think it's time to start door dashing. Remind me to never take an order that takes me down into the fucking Las Vegas Strip. This place is miserable. Well, tonight was a bad night door dashing. My tip, if you're ever door dashing in Vegas, avoid the Strip. Don't go into the Strip. Doesn't matter how tempting the order is. There's so much traffic, there's so many pedestrians, you gotta deal with hotel staff that are yelling at you. Oh my God, terrible place to be. And then I also had an order that was stolen by a DoorDasher before me. Terrible night. Well, I'm back in the valley at a slightly different campsite than last night, but it's the end of the week, so if you want to check it out, you're going to have to tune into the next vlog. And let me tell you, what a week this has been. This was probably the most fun week of the trip. Everything was a highlight from the minute I left Reno. Next week, I will continue making my way to Michigan. I have at least one more full day in Vegas, and then I will be driving into Arizona because I'm visiting with a friend in Phoenix, and then I'll be driving into Breaking Bad, New Mexico, because I have a friend in Albuquerque. But for now, I'm going to enjoy this beautiful 90-degree Las Vegas night and go to bed.